Huh? There. Oh. Huh? Durr.
Hey now, and welcome down to KCToyreviews. We are here today with Cowboy by Play Toys, aka Woody from Toy Story. Now, this is one hell of a creepy figure with a few quality control issues, but overall, it's not that bad. So let's go ahead and fine comb those details and jump right the hell goddamn in. Alright, so here we are with, dare I say, Woody? Well, yes, it is definitely a version of Woody, but again, it is one hell of a creepy version. And I think there was a little bit of a debate back and forth as this thing was announced and pictures were starting to be released. Is it creepy? Is it cute? Well, I'm going to lean more towards the creepy side, and especially given the fact that you can fully articulate the eyes into some very creepy looks. And we'll go over that shortly. But again, as I mentioned in the intro of this video, there might be a few quality control issues. However, the overall feeling on this guy was, it's not that bad. And I guess now is also a good time to mention Hot Toys just announced a Buzz Lightyear 1/6 scale figure. So the question is, would these two pair well with one another? And I would say absolutely. Because this is a different take on Woody, and the same thing with the Buzz Lightyear movie, it is a slightly different artistic version of Buzz Lightyear. So I think, yeah, they would actually pair well with one another. And of course, onto the figure at hand, well, the Cowboy by Play Toy, aka Woody. Now, let's start with the head sculpt. Before I go to the hat or the eyeballs, for starters, the head sculpt is really not that bad. Decent paint application. Let me see if I take the hat off to get some better lighting on that. So as you can see, for starters, he does have slightly rosy little cheeks there, this really creepy gaze to his face, and then the sculpted hair on top. So as I mentioned, head sculpt and the face is really not that bad. Obviously, again, this is clearly some random artistic representation of Woody, but it's not that bad. It's playful, it's cheery, and at the same time, it is actually downright creepy. But depending on how you pose it with the eyeballs and stuff, it really can go either way. It can go for the cheery, playful, cute Woody, or it can just go straight creepy. And you know, one thing that I did think about as I was looking at this guy, if Toy Story was real, I mean, this would be the last Woody that we would want running around our household at nighttime. I mean, seriously, imagine this guy just running around your hallway. I mean, my God, talk about pure nightmares. Anyways, I'm not sure if I'm going to mess with it too much. The scarf here, it does have a wire around it. I really had to jam it down there, so I'm kind of lazy. I don't think I'm going to take it off. It's basically just kind of your normal red robber scarf. And if you wanted, you actually could wrap it around his nose and make it look like he's an outlaw or something like that. So the iconic red scarf was included, wire around the tip of it. But again, I really had to jam it in there. And then the buttons on this guy are a pain in the ass. So it is kind of a Build-A-Bear moment to get that scarf down in there. And then as you can see, the eyeballs do have a slight glisten to them, so they look really nice. Overall, it pairs well with the head sculpt, and they are movable, so we will go through that in a second, how to move the eyes, and it was fairly easy compared to some recent releases I've had, which were a pain in the ass to move the eyeballs. This was very, very easy. And then before we do that, we do have this hat, so I don't know what the hell's going on with the hat here. The material-wise, it feels almost like an actual pleather leather mixed with a hard plastic. Slightly bendable, so you have some movement and give to the hat. And then as you can see there, just a nice texture overall to the hat. Just kind of a nice bumpy little texture. And then the last thing to note would be this beautiful stitching around the edge of the hat. It's really, really nice, and the way it's woven in there. Technically, they didn't have to do it. I think it could have been sculpted in there or some other clever way to get it in there. But the fact that they did go to that next level and add an actual string that's stitched around there is very, very nice and adds a little bit of extra contrast and depth to the hat overall. So ultimately, quality on the hat is actually very, very nice. And then, of course, because this is a movable hat, you know, you can kind of pose it and do whatever the hell you want with it. I can think of a recent release like the Indiana Jones by Present Toys there. That one was actually sculpted in, which to me is a huge miss. So the fact that on this one we can do whatever the hell we want to it, and it's a little bit bendable, pleatherish material. Overall, I would say total thumbs up on that hat. Alrighty, and just to quickly note the simple process to move the eyeballs, you basically just remove the hair off the top of his head there. Comes out fairly easy. And then if we turn this around, You have these little knobs. Basically, I'm going to use my Harry Potter one instead of my big fat fingers. You have this, and then basically you just finagle those around, and I can show you briefly. If we mess with those a little bit.
Durr. I'm Woody. Durr.
So yeah, you can really mess around with those eyeballs and see how super creepy immediately he became with the eyeballs, the hand gestures and stuff like that. I mean, my God, he's even blending with the background in his head there. Just, Durr. Imagine this creepy guy coming up to you in the woods or something. Hey, you want a piece of candy? Go ahead, take it right out of the palm of my hands. All right, so beyond the head sculpt, if we want to focus on the chest area here, I mean, a couple things to note. There's a little badge, just plastic, so you'd think that they would have went die cast. Same thing on the belt buckle. We will see that in the next shot, but that was just straight plastic as well. And then you have the very stereotypical little Woody vest. Overall, the tailoring and the feel on this is pretty nice. Not too many complaints whatsoever. If you're familiar with Daft Toys or a lot of custom figures, it does have this pain-in-the-ass button system, which man, I hate these buttons. I don't know why, but they are just a bane of my existence with 1/6 that button did come off quite a bit every time I was tugging on the arms and stuff. So just something to note as far as the buttons go. But overall, good fit. The tailoring on this is pretty nice. And then one really, really cool thing I thought was nice, kind of zoom in, if anybody's familiar with what that is, they didn't need to do that, and I thought it was really an awesome little touch. Basically, that's Woody's drawstring that makes him say, hey, there's a snake in my boot. Unfortunately, you can't actually pull it, but it's there, and it's just a memorable little small touch to this figure, which I thought was awesome that Playtoy ended up adding that. So again, nice touch on that Playtoy, a memorable little nod to probably one of the most classic Disney characters of all time. I won't spend too much time here. This is more of a quality control issue area. So I'll be brutally honest. Both of my hands, the pegs and the wrist completely snapped off. I was 100% unable to switch out the other hands here. For $200 goddamn dollars, we should be able to switch these hands out normally without them snapping. So the peg on this side and that side basically almost snapped in half as I pulled those things out. So I am basically stuck with the hands that we see here. And it's just something to note. It was more of a quality control issue. Maybe yours will have no problem whatsoever. However, mine did have a problem. As I mentioned in the previous shot, we do have a little belt buckle that is plastic, so nothing to brag about there. He did come with a gun, which fits nicely in the little holster there. The gun is pretty nice. I mean, nothing to brag about. Brown little handle there. Some of the parts move slightly on here. I don't know. It's kind of weird to even talk about a detailed gun when we're talking about Woody from Toy Story. The last thing I can imagine him actually holding is a realistic real gun, but hey, you do have one if you want one. It was not that bad looking. However, with mine, due to the fact that my peg snapped, I'm not going to be able to have him holding my gun. But this would be the hand that you used if you wanted to. And then I guess kind of lastly on this area, the belt here in this holster is so paper thin that I'm fearful that it's not going to snap in a month or a week. It's going to snap like in the next 5 minutes or so. It is an extremely thin pleather-ish material on there, like paper thin. I wish they went a little bit thicker on there just for longevity-wise. But the first thing that's going to go is probably here. Again, it's like a piece of paper that's holding these two things together. Ultimately, it looks nice. They should have just went a little bit thicker and then perhaps a die-cast metal buckle on there. Really would have upped it a little bit. Next up, I guess we'll just kind of focus on the jeans here. So the jeans, a nice fit, and they look really, really nice. I mean, dare I say realistic. As you can see, the white little creases in the pants and stuff there. And the overall jean look is really, really nice, and the tailoring is spot on with those jeans. Zero complaints with the jeans whatsoever. The real problem was with the boots. So for starters, putting the boots on was insane. I am not a fan of Build-A-Bear style 1/6 figures. I mean, again, for the price point, why the hell didn't you just ship it with the boots on? And the reason it was a pain in the ass is you can see the boots almost go up to his knee here, which meant that the material had to be pushed all the way down to his ankle. So I needed to get a flat, I forgot what the hell I even used. I had to sit here jamming it down there for a solid hour or so just to get it to look really, really nice. Now, the material on the boots is really nice. Actually, pick it up, take it a little closer here. So the material on the boots is nice, but the problem with this, again, is you had to jam them on the legs and the peg. I think mine came with a broken peg, so mine keeps springing back. See if we can ready for this. See? it just keeps like springing back. The movement in my leg is awful. Just look at this. It's awful. Unfortunately, this one's not as bad, this side, but this side is just terrible. Now, again, the boots looked pretty nice. It's just the system that you had to do to get them on, jam the jeans into there, basically blindly put the pegs in there, because at this point, when the boots are this high, you're trying to put a peg in there blindly. And then the movement and the articulation on the ankles, on mine, it's just piss poor, unfortunately. And then, of course, we had the nice drawstring knot on the back. They should have did something on the bottom of the boots. What a miss. I mean, Andy or something, even their company name on the bottom of the boots. That was a miss by the company there, because to me, that is one of the most iconic parts of Woody, in my opinion. And then before we switch off of this shot, I just need to stress he did not come with a stand. And because of the piss poor articulation in the ankles, I mean, this guy could barely stand on his own. So it's kind of like you just put your hands on your head and you're baffled going, play toy. The guy can barely stand on his own and you're not going to include a 1/6 stand with this? I mean, what the hell were you guys thinking? And it's just a quick note to anybody that's thinking about picking this thing up or did. Make sure you either have a stand or get a stand, because he was near impossible to balance on his own. All right, so let's start to wrap this up and slap a score on this guy. However, before we do that, let's go over some final closing notes. Now, for starters, articulation on this guy, double jointed knees, double jointed elbows, and a cloth shirt and jeans leaves endless possibilities to the articulation. Not only that, there is zero fear of damage in this guy, so leave it in any crazy wacky pose you want. And then when you pair that with the weird eyeball posability, I mean, there is an endless amount of poses that you can put this guy in, good or bad. In the end, I'll leave that up to you. Secondly, yeah, I do think he's going to pair well with Buzz Lightyear in 2 to 3 years, something like that. I mean, the face sculpt on this and the face sculpt on Buzz Lightyear in the new Lightyear movie, I think they will go very, very well with one another. Between now and then, as I said also, who the hell knows? Maybe there's going to be another Woody version that's going to come out. But I do look forward to the time that they will be standing next to one another. I think that'll be very, very cool. And then the overall quality concerns, I mean, they're not horrible. You know, there was a quality issue with the feet and the ankle joints on mine. The buttons kept popping open. The belt is very, very thin, which makes me nervous for the future of that belt. However, the tailoring's good. The body feels decent underneath. The head sculpt is good. I love the hat. I mean, the hat is really nice quality. And then you have the scarf. Basically, those are the 3 accessories that came with it. It's very unfortunate that there was no stand with this guy because, like I said, he will not stand on his own. So just be wary. He will fall if you do not have a stand with this guy. And hey, if you get him to stand, more power to you. I would just say throw some caution out there. The ankles on mine were very, very junky. But as I always preface and say, maybe that was just crap luck and yours is going to be great. And then one of the last things I would say, the little drawstring on the back, you know, it just puts a smile on my face when I saw that they put that on there. I thought that was a really, really cool nod. Hey, you could have put something on the bottom of the boot too, whether it be your company name or Andy, something like that. However, the drawstring on the back was a cool nod, and I will give it to you, Play Toy. And I mean, that's it. I think it's time to start swinging to a score here for Creepy Cowboy Woody. You know, what comes to mind as he spins in front of us and all his playful creepiness, it's a tough one, to be honest with you, because it's super creepy, and this is a very weird release. I'm going to go with a 7.9 out of 10. I don't know. There's just something about it where I feel like it's not an 8 category figure. There's a couple of drawbacks, small quality control issues, and I really am starting to remember again, I couldn't even swap out the hands on mine. But the overall look of it is really, really nice. And whether that's nice, creepy, I mean, you be the judge of that, but it does have a decent look to it. And dare I say, the quality of it doesn't look bad. I think it's ultimately when you get your hands on it, there's just a few pieces that pulled it back. So that's going to be it for us here today at KC Toy Reviews. See you guys next time. Creepy Woody, definitely not based off of Tom Hanks. There's a snake in my boots!